Alright. Well, you can already tell what it is. It is part 3 of What If Deku Was in a Zombie Apocalypse. Y'all have been pestering me for this one, and I'm glad you guys have, because I really enjoy making this one, not gonna lie. Probably one of my favorites, as well as Neglected. So, I hope you guys have enjoyed those two, or these two at least. If not, sorry. If you wanted a different video today, sorry. I was planning on doing Shazam, but then I did it, and then the audio cut out. So I was like, you know what? Fuck that. So I just decided to do this instead. So where did I leave you guys off in? Didn't I leave you guys off on a cliffhanger? If Deku can kiss Jiro, like, actually, without turning her into a zombie? You know, basically. So, we're gonna say, they get into the car. Deku's like, we're taking a detour. And then, because they said, why don't we talk to Nezu? He's the smartest person ever. So, you know, basically, Deku's like, we're taking a detour. And he immediately drives towards, like, they make a U-turn, drive straight towards Nezu. Bakugo and Uraraka are like, what's going on? You know, Deku's like, alright, shut the fuck up. We got important shit to talk about. We have important shit to do. You know, because he wants to know now. Because, like, now that he actually, like, really, like, realizes it, he really cares about Jiro. Because, like, he did care about her, like, but he didn't really want to believe it because of what Uraraka did. And same thing with Jiro over what Denki did. So, they both were kind of in denial about it, but, like, that moment solidified it for them. So, they're like, I care about this person too much to not be able to, you know, be with them fully. So, they immediately just start driving towards Nezu, right? So, then they get over there. You know, they get to UA, and they run up. And you know, he's like, Yuta, you watch over the car. I'll be gone. So they run off, right? Yuta's like, okay, like, and basically Bakugo's like, why don't we just leave them? Yuta's like, no, we're not leaving them. This is their car. Like, we're not going without them. And then Bakugo's like, fine. Basically, then they run over. They see, like, you know, that Nezu's there. He's like, oh, hello there again. They're like, hey, we need to talk to you about something. And then Nezu's like, what is it? Deku takes off his mask. He's like, I'm a zombie. And then Nezu, he's like, wait, what the fuck? And then, like, he activates, like, all the turrets, and they all point at Deku. He's like, whoa, wait. For some reason, I don't find humans at all delectable. And by the way, I have one for all. Like, he just says that all together. You know, Nezu's like, okay, explain. Start with one for all. Deku explains how he, like, bit All Might and got one for all, and Shiro's like, the fuck's one for all? Deku's like, well, I mean, we're in the zombie apocalypse. I don't really think it matters too much if you know or not. He's like, All Might's quirk apparently was able to be passed down. Shiro's like, what? Deku's like, yeah, that's what I was thinking, right? She's like, how do you know this? Apparently the past users can talk to me in my head. What? Deku's like, yeah. She's like, damn, that shit's crazy. I mean, just, you got a quirk from eating All Might? Like, yeah. And then, you know, Nezu's like, so why did you come here again? Deku walks up to him. He's like, I want to know if I'm able to turn people into zombies or not. And then Nezu's like, why do you want to know that? Like, you don't eat people. He's like, yeah, but, you know, I can't really have a... He's like, how do I say this? Nezu, he's picking up on what Deku's putting down. He's like, an intimate relationship? He's like, yeah, basically. Nezu's like, I see. Young love between a zombie and a human. Who would have thought? And then Deku's like, yeah, well, could you just help us out here? Like, how do I, like, you know, are we gonna test this? Nezu's like, alright, first we're gonna check your quirk gene, see if your quirk was involved with this. Deku's like, my quirk was dormant, so it probably was my quirk that made this happen. So basically they check a quirk. He's like, your quirk is antibody, and you create antibodies to fight against the zombie virus. And he said if your quirk had been a little bit stronger, or how it is now before, then you probably could have not even became a zombie. But at this point, it's already too late. Like, your body's already fully integrated into being a zombie, so you're stuck as that. He's like, alright, well, so can I, like, you know, can I turn people? He's like, luckily for you, you cannot turn people. He's like, really? Like, oh, you know, he's like, really? He's like, yes! And then he immediately grabs Jiro and just kisses her. Like, immediately. She didn't expect this shit. Like, she was, like, waiting for, like, a build-up later on, but he was like, nah, fuck that. Immediately, just tongue to tongue. And then, you know, he lets go over. He's like, alright. And then Nezu's like, so do you want me to test anything else? He's like, what do you mean? He's like, if you're, you know. Like, he's like, what do you mean? He's like, you know, as a guy, you know. And then Deku's like, yeah, I should probably test that. Jiro's like, what are you talking about? Deku's like, don't worry about that. Don't worry. I have something else to test, but you have to leave the room. She's like, why do I have to leave the room now? He's like, well, I don't know. I just, you have to leave for this. She's like, why though? Deku's like, I want to see if if I can bang you. He just throws her out of the room. She's like, what? And she's like, wait, what? What? Then Nezu's like, all right, go into the bathroom, nut in this cup. just nut in the cup. Deku's like, I need material. I can't do that, without any material. Nezu's like, I'm sorry, but, every phone in here is dead. The computers don't work. Electricity has been out for, weeks. Deku's like, so how do I get material, though? He's like, you have a girlfriend. Deku's like, but, So he's like, Jiro's still confused out the door, and he pulls her back in. He's like, I need your help with something. And then she's like, okay, what is it? Deku's like, so I want to test, if my swimmers turn people into zombie, right? And she's like, yeah, I kind of understand that now. He's like, yeah, the issue is I need material. And she's like, what do you mean material? He's like, it doesn't just come out, come on, And then she's like, oh. And then she's like, go on the internet. Deku's like, there's no electricity here. He's like, your phone? There's no Wi-Fi here. She's just like, And honestly, I'm bullshitting. Nezu probably would have some way of having electricity and Wi-Fi. But I'm just doing this out of pure fun. Alright, she's like, no. He's like, but, for the future. You gotta think about this. She's like, no. He's like, come on. Come on. I'm not even asking, to do that. I just need your hand. Then she's like, no. No. And then Deku's like, but, help me out. I'm trying to low-key figure this out, alright? She's like, Nezu's just in the corner, watching this, so this is how he's going about his approach. He's guilt-tripping her into it. He's just thinking about this, okay. He wanted to see how Deku would do this. He's like, don't you want to understand for the future? Do you want, do you want for, in a few years for us to have a kid, and it turns out that it's a zombie and it eats you from the inside out? That would be pretty nasty. She's like, he has a point. She's thinking about, she's like, it has a point, though. He's like, what if it turns you into a zombie? All right, we need to figure this out. He's hoping to God. He's praying, hoping that this does not turn her into a zombie. Nezu's like, oh, by the way, you can, so do you guys have, a discussion now? Are you guys ready? Jiro's like, fine. Deku's like, really? He was completely expecting it to be a no. He knows Jiro, so he was expecting no. She was like, you convinced me. He's like, he gets the biggest smile ever. He's like, ah. And he's like, yeah. Jiro's like, I swear to God, I'm going to beat the shit out of you, you stupid zombie. Deku's like, all right, calm down. It's not that serious. Just, it's all right. Nezu's like, well, you can go to the bathroom with that. Here's a cup. Have fun. He closes the door on them. So Jiro's like, not gonna lie, I've never done this. Deku's like, same. So he's like, so, how do you want it? They're just talking at this point. So, she's like, well, I can't do it without, it being out. Deku's like, fine. The 14-inch anaconda. So, he pulled out that thing. I can't. Why am I so energetic right now? So he pulls out, the zombie, the guts basher, and she's like, holy shit. Deku's like, what? He's like, I don't know if I can handle that. Deku's like, you just have to use your hand. I mean, for the future, I'm thinking about my future self, and I don't see that happening. I don't see that being able to go in there. He's like, it'll work out. Just help me out right now. So she gives him a hand with something, a helpful hand, because it's just helping out. Takes a little bit. You know, she whispers words into his ear while she does that. You know, just seductive words. Like, this is the closest thing you guys are getting to 18 plus ever. I hope you realize that. You know, he does kiss her while that's all happening. So yeah, basically all that. God, I feel dirty saying this all. So then, like, you know, the cup overflows a little bit. She's like, ah, shit. Deku's like, yeah, I'm gonna wash. I don't know what to do. Like, he's like, Nezu, we have an issue. And Nezu's like, yeah, what? You can't get it up or something? Like, no. Deku's like, no, that wasn't the issue. The cup's overflowing. And you're like, oh, that was a 2-liter cup. That was a 2-liter cup. He's like, exactly, alright? I've been a zombie for about, what, a whole year now? I haven't done nothing for a whole year. Like, give me a break here. And this was like, you better clean that off, because I ain't touching that shit. Like, you better clean that shit off. I'm not touching that. And Dickie's like, alright, shit, you know? Basically, Jiro's like, huh, overflowed. I'm scared. Just fear. Deku's like, this is what you have to look forward to in the future. So he cleans himself up. He puts it away. And then, you know, he cleans around the cup and just makes sure that it doesn't overflow. And that's the closest thing. And I mean the closest thing you all will ever get to 18 plus. Because I just wanted to add that whole thing. So, you know, he gives the cup to Nezu. Nezu does the experiment. He's like, all clear. Like, no zombie swimmers. He's like, none at all? Like, 0 at all? He's like, checked each individual one. You're good. Deku's like, whew. Ah, that makes me feel much better, you know? Jiro, she's still in shock over what she saw, felt, and just did. So Deku's like, you alright? She's like, yeah. Huh. He's like, do you regret doing that? She's like, no. It's just, I've been living with that, you know? And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, we've been staying in the same roof, and that has been under the same roof with me. He's like, what do you mean by that? And she's like, an arm, alright? Like, Deku, he's like, alright, chill, I'll just playing with you, I got what you meant. And then they head back to the car, and now they head back, and Yuta and Bakugo are basically, like, fighting, because Bakugo is, like, wanting to leave them now, you know? After that, you know, Deku forgot to put on his mask. He's like, yo, what's going on? Bakugo's like, what the fuck, you're a zombie? Deku's like, shit. He's like, shit. He's like, no, this is my quirk. Bakugo buys it because he's an idiot. Uraraka buys it because she's an idiot. Actually, they wouldn't even buy it because Deku looks like Deku, just without an eye. They're like, you're a zombie? And then she's like, Deku? Deku's just like, shit. Well, looks like you found me out. So, you want to tell them what you did, Uraraka, or is that just me? Uraraka's like, what do you mean, what I did? You know, he's like, you know, it's fine, I'll let you off, which he's not going to. He's just waiting until he gets to base camp, alright? Before you all go in my comments, like, don't let Uraraka off for what she did. She abandoned him. No, she's gonna go through some shit, alright? So Bakugo's like, how the hell are you controlling yourself? He's like, you remember my dormant quirk? And he's like, yeah. Apparently, it was a quirk called antibodies, and it fights against, like, disease in general. And it would have been pretty good if, like, you know, if I used my blood to help other people out. Because Deku has type O blood, so his blood works for anything. So Deku is just a universal cure. He probably would have made millions. Like, if you really think about it. Because Deku's blood type is type O, alright? So it's a universal blood type. And his quirk is literally about, like, the best working fucking vaccines. Just like put Deku's blood in like everyone, manufacture that shit, boom. Like, honestly, like I just thought about how OP Deku's quirk is, because it fights against every disease. We need that quirk in real life right now, but I can't say the name of any disease right now because I'm trying to get monetized. Low key, man. But after that, Deku, he's just like, all right, well, let's head to base camp. And then they're like, why were you gone? He was like, I had a few things to test out. You know, he puts his arm around Jiro. I just had a few things to test out. And then she gets in the passenger seat. Yuta gets back to the back seat, and then Deku sits on the front, driving. He's going pretty fast because there's no speed limit. So this time they make it to the camp, because I'm not about to talk about them pit stopping again. So they make it to the camp, and basically Uraraka is like, oh, it's Mrs. Midoriya, yada yada yada. And basically Bakugo's like, where's my mom on Inko? Inko explains, that Mitsuki is in critical condition right now, and she's actually getting better as we speak, because of, we'll say that she got sick, but Deku used his blood to heal her, and Nezu low-key took some of Deku's blood and was like, maybe I can make a cure out of this for the zombie disease, or, at least something to where if you get bit, it's an immediate, help. So, the way I want to use Deku's, quirk, I want to say that, if you use his DNA, it'll be, before, if you use his DNA, right after you get bit, you could probably still become a human, Or you could just be like Deku, which Deku can make other people like him, or other zombies like him, which, that'll be fun in the future. But basically, so Jiro's like, She looks at Deku, she's like, oh, by the way, could your quirk be used to make other zombies like you? Deku's like, low-key? I did not even think about that. And then so they're like, why don't we grab a zombie and, why don't we just, grab a zombie and then check? Deku's like, we could do that. He tells his mom about how, they made sure that no matter what, he won't be able to turn anyone into a zombie. And then Inko's like, every way, because she's not dumb. She's a mother. She knows about stuff. All right, she's had Deku. He's like, yep, every way. She's like, you did it. And then Deku's like, what do you mean? She's like, my baby, is he unpure now? He's like, I'm a zombie. I've been unpure. She's like, not like that unpure. Have you had your innocence taken away? Deku's like, no, it was, she's like, how? Alright, sorry, I had to go, because my mom needed me for something, basically homework, but the Wi-Fi is not working in this house. Damn, that's tough. The Wi-Fi is not working in here, and I need to do homework, but I can't do homework because the Wi-Fi is stupid in this house. Then my math teacher is going to give me a 0. My math teacher sucks. I'm not even gonna lie. I hate that guy. But, I don't hate him because, he's hard on us because he knows that we need to be hard on us. But, he just does too much sometimes. Just a little bit too much. Now, where did I leave? Basically, Inko was like, how? How did you do it then? Deku was like, geez, calm down. Because, Inko does not trust anyone with Izuku after what she heard Ochako did. But she was like, so what? What did you do then? He was like, it was just a hand? He's like, I really didn't want to have to explain it, but it was just the hand? She was like, okay. But me and this girl, we having a talk. We gonna talk. I'm gonna get to know her, see what kind of person she is. And if I don't like her, then she's not happening. But Deku's like, I don't know about that one. She's like, what do you mean you don't know about that one? I'm your mother. But Deku's like, but Jiro's been with me through thick and thin. Jiro's right there. But Deku thinks that Jiro walked off. So he's basically like, I really care about her. All right, he has his mom by the shoulders. He's like, listen, I really care about her. All right, it's been about a year since we met each other. It wasn't the best relationship at the beginning. We honest to God, kind of hated each other. But that hate grew into care. He's through, all the thick and thin, she's always, been there to help me out, and I've always been there to help her out. And, to be honest, I denied it for a while, for about probably 6 months, that I really cared about her, because what, she did. Ingo gets it, Bakugo's confused, Yuta gets it, literally everyone except for Bakugo gets it, and he's like, listen, alright, I just care about her a lot, and then Ingo's like, sweet, because she's right there, and then Deku's like, wait, what, and he turns around, Jiro's like, you care that much? No, you care that much? Deku's like, shut up. And, he walks off. And now Ingo, she gives Uraraka the dead eye. She's like, so this bitch here now. And basically, Jiro's giving the same look. And Bakugo's like, the fuck is going on? Basically, Yuta, he's like, Bakugo, can I talk to you for a second? Because he's been hanging out with Bakugo the entire year, so he can talk to him. But he just still doesn't like Bakugo. Bakugo's like, what do you want, nerd? And then Yuta explains what Uraraka did. He was like, yeah, Uraraka basically abandoned Deku, and that's why he became a zombie. He was like, no way, he just became a zombie because he's an idiot. And Uraraka is backing up because Jiro and, Jiro and Inko are just walking up to her. She's like, so, you like abandoning people, huh? They're like, come on, tell us the truth, alright? You tell us the truth and we won't be mad. And then, Uraraka's like, fine, alright? I worried about myself over him. Bakugo was surprised because Uraraka doesn't seem like the type. She's like, even Bakugo wouldn't have done that shit. Like, really. Like, to Deku, since, they've known each other since they were children, even Bakugo's like, that's kind of far. Like, you abandon him. She was, she explained what happened. She was like, we were surrounded by zombies. Deku was standing in front of me. He was ready to fight them off, and I floated him up to the roof, on top of the roof where he couldn't move, and then I ran off. Which, they didn't know the specifics behind it, but now it sounds even more fucked up. So, Jiro's like, oh, okay. Jiro basically, she grabs something from behind her back. Uraraka's like, what are you doing? And then, bam, there goes Uraraka's right kneecap. She's like, that's for getting him turned. And Ingo's like, can I get a swing? And, Jiro's like, sure. She hands her the bat. Ingo's like, this for abandoning my baby. Bah! Left kneecap. Uraraka's crying at this point. And then Bakugo's, wanting to stop them. But then, he thinks about, Uraraka probably would have done the same shit to him. Since she really cared about Deku. Because, she made it seem like she really cared about Deku. So what stops her from doing that to Bakugo? That's how Bakugo's thinking. So he's like, this is a zombie apocalypse. Fuck a bitch, He's like, now that Deku's around, if he gives a girl his DNA, I can get a zombie bitch. Really. He's thinking about it like that. But you not main hoe material. Uraraka's like, Bakugo, help me, they're attacking me. Yada, yada. I didn't even do anything wrong. It was Deku. She's saying this, which pisses Inko off more. Bakugo's like, I hate Deku, don't get me wrong. I literally always have. But even I wouldn't do that fucked up shit. I want to be a hero. And even if it's a zombie apocalypse, that's still kind of fucked up to do. So, Uraraka just gets her ass beat. And then they're like, so you turning people into zombies, eh? And then Uraraka's like, wait, come on, let's think about this. Deku's like, he walks back, he's like, guys, are you sure about this? They're like, shut up, you too kind. And then they just throw her, out, and then they just throw out, what's something that makes a loud noise? They just clash some, metal together, and just make some bang noises, and some zombies are coming over. Uraraka, is crawling for her life, because her kneecaps are broken. And they good riddance, and Uraraka does get, turned. Now she's zombie floater bitch. Which, Deku still understands her. She's like, brains. And now Deku's like, ugh, because she's drooling. She's like, ugh, nasty. He walks away. Then after that, Deku's like, you didn't have to, do all that for me. Which they all look at Deku. Even Bakugo, he's like, she literally abandoned you. I didn't even know that shit. If I would have known that shit, I would never have dated her. She described it like you sacrificed yourself heroically for her. Dake was like, damn. Alright, well, because even if Bakugo agrees, then she definitely fucked up. So yeah, I made Bakugo pretty fucked up in this, but he's not dumb enough to be like, yeah, if she abandoned him, but she's still my girlfriend. No. If it's a zombie apocalypse and I have a friend, right, I have a friend who has a girlfriend, and she comes back saying that he sacrificed himself for her, and then that friend comes back as a zombie, is nah, she just threw me towards the other zombies, then I'm not dating her. What? Doesn't matter if I didn't like the guy. You threw him towards the zombies? What says I'm not next? That's how I think of it, so that's how I want to see Bakugo thinks of it. Yeah, so If you have an issue with that, well, you're an Uraraka loving person, which here in my What If channel, we don't really fuck with Uraraka, unless some people want Uraraka to be the ship, which after watching a few of the Chosen Weaves videos, I kind of hate Uraraka. I need to rewatch My Hero, because now I basically hate Uraraka at this point. It's not even about the actual Uraraka in canon. Actual Uraraka in canon is pretty cool. It's just the Chosen Weave has made it to where Uraraka seems like the worst person in the universe to me, and so has every What If Deku was cheated on, and What If Deku was betrayed, and most What If Dekus that involve Deku going to jail or something, or just being dicked. Yeah, so that just fucked me up with Uraraka for most of the part. That's why I made Uraraka suck in this one. So yeah, Uraraka's a zombie. She can't walk still because she's a zombie. Her knees are regenerating slowly, but she got to eat something for them to fully heal. Ooh. Damn, your boy can't get a break, bro. So I'm not gonna lie, I was gone for a solid few hours, I think. But while I was gone, I watched a YouTube video, right? And this man, I watched this What If, right? It was a What If Deku had Maleficent's powers, right? It was by Full-Time Anime Man. How the fuck does this man not have more subscribers than me? This is bullshit, alright? You should check him out, because his story was, I can't wait for part 2, not gonna lie. Full-Time Anime Man, alright? He has What If Deku had Maleficent's powers? That shit is fire. It's heat, alright? You need to go check that shit out. He just hit 100 subs. He's about to hit 200. Get this man to 1,000. He deserves it. Alright, please. You guys don't listen to me sometimes. But, actually, though, I really enjoyed his What If. You guys really should check him out. Well, let me get back into my What If so that you guys go check him out and then stay with me at least a little bit. But, where was I? Yeah, Uraraka had broken kneecaps, right? And then she became a zombie. Basically, her kneecaps are slowly regenerating, but she has to eat something, but I doubt she'll be able to eat anything with, being a zombie. Basically, after that, Deku was like, you guys didn't have to go that far. They're like, shut the fuck up. Alright, you're too nice. Then Deku's like, alright, well, what do we do now? Bakugo, what's it called? You'd think Bakugo would be mad about this, but no. When he heard that, Uraraka abandoned Deku, he's like, in his head, he's like, I don't really care about Deku, but, she could have done that shit to me, so why the fuck would I stay with her? Basically that logic. If I already said that, sorry. If I didn't, then, good. Basically, after that, Deku's like, well, this is a base camp. Kaminari walks up, he's like, you just fed that chick to zombies? And then basically, what's it called? Inko is like, well, she fed my son to zombies, so it's fair trade. Then Kirishima and Mina are like, yo, we just got here, they run over, they see Deku, without his mask, because they're like, whoa, you're a zombie? Deku's like, yeah, I eat brains, they back up immediately. Mina's about to shoot acid at him, and then Jiro punches him. She's like, idiot, trying to get yourself killed. Deku's like, alright, calm down, it was a joke. Jesus, Mina and Kirishima are confused. They're like, what? And then Deku, basically, Inko explains that this is her son, and his quirk allows him to stay conscious and normal as a zombie, and he doesn't even want to eat people. He has a girlfriend. And she also says that last part with pride. And then Deku's like, are you just now gonna brag about it? At first you were worried, and now you're gonna brag about it? She's like, yeah, because I've studied this girl. She seems very nice. After, they together beat the shit out of Uraraka, and then threw her to zombies. She basically gained Inko's respect. And she's like, thank you. Yada, yada, yada. Mina's like, alright, well, I'm Mina Ashido. And he's like, yeah, my name's Kirishima. Yuda's over there in the corner, very, timid. But Deku's like, man, it's a zombie apocalypse. Come on. Yuda's like, my name's Yuda Tamaki. And then he's like, oh, okay. Basically, that's all, really. And then Deku's like, alright, well, you wanna head out for supplies? He looks over to Jiro, he's like, you wanna head out to supplies? She was like, we just got back. He's like, yeah, but staying in one place is boring. Because they're used to going around a lot, so at this point, staying in one place is very, to them. So, Jiro's like, alright, fine. So basically they're about to drive off, and then Paco's like, "Can I go with?" And Deku's like, "Nah, you just got back after getting kicked out. Chill out, eat some food. You look skinny, all right?" And yeah, basically Paco's like, "Fine, whatever." Like he's like, "Whatever, nerd." And then he walks off. Yuta's like, "Are you sure you don't want me to come?" He's like, "Same goes for you. The same thing I told Bakugo. You haven't eaten anything really, and ow, fuck, I stabbed myself." Be like, "You haven't eaten anything really. You need to get something in your belly. All right. A hungry person is a useless person." So he's like, "All right, appreciate it, man." And, Deku and Jiro go out for supplies. Ah, shit, I am bleeding. Fuck. I'm trying to clip my nails and I just stabbed myself on accident. Yeah, so what's it called? Jiro and Deku, they both like head off. They're driving around, and they see like this girl. She's like running, right? They're like, "The fuck? Like, what's up with her?" Then they see like this man with brown hair running after her. Like, "You idiot! We need you for the cure." Yeah. Deku's like, "Ah, fuck that!" Like, he puts on his mask. He stops. He's like, "Yo, the fuck's going on here?" And Overhaul's like, it's Overhaul. I just revealed it, but it's Overhaul. He's like, "That girl right there, I need her, to make the cure." Deku's like, "Can you explain?" He's like, "The cure for not only the quirk gene, but the zombie, zombie virus." Deku's like, "Alright, for one, why cure the quirk gene? And for two, a cure for the zombie virus." And he's like, "What makes this girl so important?" And basically, Overhaul has no reason to hide it, because there's no heroes around anymore. Like, what's the point of heroes when you're in the zombie apocalypse? And he thinks that these people understand. He's like, "Her quirk is rewind. It allows her to rewind anything. If I have her, I might be able to make a cure." He's like, "Why don't you go to, like, Nezu, one of the smartest people ever for it?" He's like, "He won't understand, Deku, he drew the line at that point. He was like, "Yeah, alright, what's it called?" He basically he's like, "Alright, let's talk about this, alright?" Then he hands Eri over to Jiro, because it's Eri. She's scared, he hands her over to Jiro. Jiro's like, "Oh, hey there," just basically talking to Eri. And Deku's like, "Alright, let's talk about this, right?" And Deku's arm is behind his back, and he has his arm like powered up fully. Overhaul's like, what is there to talk about? She's the key to the cure. And Deku just bam punches him like 50%, gets sent flying, slams into a wall. Deku's not trying to kill him, but 50% will sure knock someone the fuck out. So Overhaul sent straight back into the alleyway that he just ran out of. And Deku's like, "Alright, back to the car." He's like, and then Jiro's like, "So what are we doing? Are we just stealing the kid?" He's like, "Yep, we're going." So they drive off. After that, who are you? So basically now Deku is driving with Eri. Eri's scared. She's shaking. She's like, "Are you guys gonna hurt me?" They're like, "Of course not. We just saved you. Like, why would he hurt you now?" Eri's like, "Because I could possibly be a cure for this." And then Deku's like, "Okay, then why would we hurt you? Like, that's not how that works, alright? If you're our cure, then we need to treat you with respect and honor and dignity." Eri's confused because she didn't expect that. So they get to the base camp. Inko looks, she sees that Jiro's holding a kid, and basically Deku and Jiro are walking over. And Inko's like, "What? I'm already a grandmother? I knew it!" Yada yada yada. Deku's like, "Chill! I've literally only known her for a year. This kid's like 6. Alright? Jesus Christ, Mom." After that, Inko's like, "Oh, okay." They explain that this girl might be a cure for the zombie virus, and that one guy was basically torturing her and making, her blood to use it, because Eri did explain it, which pissed off Deku, because, basically, Eri was going through what he could have gone through if his quirk was found out. So he is like, "Alright, well, we should take her over to Nezu." And then, Inko's like, "Alright, well, I guess so." Deku's like, "But we'll let her rest for a little while. We shouldn't take her straight there." So basically, Eri's scared, but like Deku, he's like, "How do you feel about zombies?" Eri's like, "Well, I don't really care about them." She's like, "I mean, I haven't really been through a situation where I needed to worry about one." Like, basically, like that's her basic reaction. So Deku just takes off his mask. Eri's surprised that it's a zombie. She's like, but you're talking though. And, Deku's like, yeah, because I'm a smart zombie and a nice zombie and a handsome zombie. Like, he's just talking about how awesome he is. And Jiro's like, yeah, an idiot zombie. Deku looks at her. He's like, she just hating, all right. He looks back at Jiro, not at Jiro. He looks back at Eri. He's like, she's just hating, all right. But me, I'm like the best zombie you'll ever meet. And Eri's like, really? He's like, yep. Awesome. I'm the greatest zombie of all time. So, after that, Eri is like, okay, yada, yada, yada. So they're basically playing with Eri, right? And then Aizawa comes over and Deku's like, hey, Aizawa, me and Jiro, want to hang out for a bit. Can you watch Eri? Aizawa looks over at Eri. He sees that Eri's slightly scared of him. He's like, sure, why not? Because, Deku realizes, like, because he sees Aizawa is good father material. Patting myself on the back. But Aizawa was good father material, so he's like, yeah, just watch over her for a bit. And she's like, alright, he's like, alright. He's like, alright, kid, what's up with you? She explains her story. Aizawa was pissed at Overhaul, which he doesn't even know who Overhaul is. He's just pissed at him. But after that, we'll say, what now to do? What to do. Basically, Deku and Jiro are just talking at this point. Like, it's gotten a bit late. So they're like, alright, well, guess it's time to head off to bed. Eri's sleeping with, who would she be sleeping with? Because she's a little child. Would she sleep with Deku and Jiro? She'll sleep in the same room as them for now. But Deku does tell her, like, you should have your own room. Because, you should have your own room. Eri's like, alright, she's okay with having her own room. Because, she feels safer alone than with anybody else. So Eri actually has her own room. Right? And Deku, he's just laying down with Jiro. And Jiro, like, pulls, like, basically, like, taps on him. Deku's like, what's up? She's like, you remember how we tested everything, right? Deku was like, yeah. She's like, well, you know how you hadn't done anything for, like, a whole year? Deku was like, yes. And then she's like, well, if you think about it, the same goes here. So Deku's like, oh. He's like, oh. So he gives her, like, a stupid shit-eating grin. He's like, so, you just want it right now. Like, she's like, she just hops on him, and then they do that. I'm not going to get into that, because the closest thing you got to 18 plus was at the beginning. So, basically, everything's done, alright? Deku gets up, he's like, he cracks his neck a little bit. Jiro's eyes are rolled back. Fuck. Alright. Jiro's just has, like, her tongue sticking out and her eyes are rolled back. He's like, I did good. He gets up. He goes on the balcony. He's like, what should I do? And then he hears, like, a scream. Deku immediately runs out of the room. He runs towards where the scream is. It's Eri. She's having a night terror. Basically, Deku holds Eri. Everybody's like, what the hell's going on? He's like, sorry, she had a night terror, yada, yada, yada. She's just, she just got scared, I guess. And they're like, oh, okay, because, they've all been informed of Eri's situation. They're like, yeah, we understand. A few people who are dickheads, like, want to say something, but Deku, he's like, I mean, if you want to say something, you can get the fuck out. Which, they don't want to, so they shut up real quick. So Deku's just basically taking care of Eri, and then let's say Aizawa, he's like, where's the earphone jack, Cyril? Deku's like, she's asleep. And then Aizawa's like, but that was pretty loud. Like, are you sure she's still asleep? He's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure she's still asleep. Which Jiro is knocked the fuck out. So, yeah, so basically Deku's just watching over Eri. While, like, he's just sitting next to Eri. He's like, so, what was the dream about? She explains it was that she was getting tortured. Deku's like, he rubbed, like, he pats her on the head. He's like, listen, you're here with us now. We're not gonna do that to you. We're not gonna let anybody do that to you. We're watching over you, kid. No, Eri's like, thank you. She's like, then Deku's like, if you need anything, just ask. Then Aries like, all right, well, thank you, Mr. Zombie Man. He's like, you can just call me Deku. And then he walks out. He's like, Deku. Like, that's what she's thinking, but she's like, I mean, he's not really, he's being very nice to me. Like, that's how she's thinking. She's like, he's more of a father figure. Yep, that's what we're doing again. Listen, alright, to anyone who's like, oh no, don't do this again. Eri is best child, alright? But after what my Discord sent me, my Discord is, not my Discord, New God's Discord, to be fair. New God's Discord is just disgusting, alright? Disgusting freaks of nature. Everyone in there has an issue. Everyone in there has their own dysfunctions. There's one person who always cholo dances, but I'll just leave it off to that. But so after that, Deku's just like, he leaves. All right. So my mom called me during the last part, so I literally finished off the episode. Then my mom called me, and it cut out a bit of the audio. So like I said before, Deku just walks out. Aries thinking in her head, Deku. Well, I mean, he's more, he's very kind to me. He's more like, my papa. And then that's where I'm leaving that off, because that if you have an issue with, Eri, I already said that part, I think. I'm pretty sure I already said the papa part, but yeah. Then Deku just heads back over. He sees that Jiro's just sleeping now, normally. Then Deku just gets into bed, he cuddles with her, and that's where I'm leaving that off. If I actually already said all this, then I'm gonna look stupid. If I didn't, then, I don't look stupid. And, yeah, check out Full-Time Anime Man. That guy had an amazing What If Deku was Maleficent, and I need to go check out more of his What Ifs. So, yeah. Plugging other people for fun. Yay!